For most people, the world sounds like this. But for those like me, sometimes the world sounds like this. It's the result of Auditory Processing Disorder, or APD, which about 5% of kids in the US suffer from and occurs at much higher rates within the neurodivergent population, like those with ADHD, dyslexia, and autistics. People with APD often say things like, "Sorry? Could you repeat that?" And my go-to, "What?" For both the person with APD and the person they're talking to, it seems like a hearing issue, but it's not. In fact, someone with APD can actually pick up on certain sounds that others do not. Did you open the window? The summer breeze is blaring. So if APD isn't a hearing issue, then what is it? And how does it contribute to other obstacles neurodivergents like me come across? Auditory Processing Disorder, also known as Central Auditory Processing Disorder, is a neurodevelopmental disorder affecting the way that the brain processes sound. So a person with APD could have ears that work perfectly fine, but that process of turning that sound into some form of meaning is where the issue is. And APD isn't just one thing, it's actually an umbrella term that accounts for many different issues within that interpretation process. So before getting into how APD attributes to different neurodivergent obstacles, let's first define those different issues. Auditory closure is the ability to complete distorted or missing parts of the acoustic signal and recognize the message in its entirety. In short, it's the ability to fill in the gaps. Temporal processing refers to understanding pitch and intonation and recognizing differences in speech sounds, like the difference between a B sound and a P sound. Binaural interaction is the ability to know which side speech or sounds are coming from and to localize sound in a room. Auditory integration is the ability to combine and translate information across multiple mediums. For example, being able to take instructions given verbally and then carry them out physically.
Touch your nose with one hand and pat your head with the other.
Dichotic listening is receiving different messages to each ear and being able to focus on one message while ignoring the other. Here's a fun test. In the left audio channel, I'll recite one set of 5 words, and in the right channel, I'll recite a different set. Pick one channel to listen to and see if you can ignore the other.
Vulture, elephant, violet, hamsters, black.
Auditory hypersensitivity is a low tolerance for noise and difficulty focusing on the quote important sounds in a noisy setting. Prosodic deficiency is lacking the understanding of different language cues like intonation, pitch, and loudness.
Wow, nice outfit.
Thanks. Okay, cool. So now that we've defined those issues, now let's talk about how they overlap with the neurodivergent experience. Now, I'm not going to rehash all 7 subcategories. I'm just going to go over the ones that I experience most often. For me, people tend to sound more distorted when I'm in an environment with lots of different audio sources, like at a restaurant with lots of people and clattering and music and blurry waitstaff. Or if I'm just generally tired, like at the end of the day, or if I just didn't sleep well the night before. By the way, not sleeping well the night before is a common occurrence because neurodivergents also have higher likelihoods of sleep disorders. It's sleep apnea caused by allergies and silent reflux for me. Yeah, I'm pretty cool. Binaural interaction. Knowing which side speech or sounds are coming from. Not having good binaural integration is probably why I don't like team sports. Having to constantly update your mental map of where people are based on audio and visual cues all the time is just way too crazy. Plus, I don't like having sweaty people all up in my face. Audio hypersensitivity tends to kick in for me when I'm very hyper-focused on something, like when I'm playing The Last of Us. Because I'm trying to pick up cues from the game, my senses are so turned up that even a minor sound just feels like a clanging in my ear. Are the neighbors silently reading? And oddly enough, it sometimes works the other way around, where I'm so focused I don't hear something. People tend to call this selective hearing.
Matt, Twirly's trying to bite me!
Prosodic deficiency. A commonly cited result of prosodic deficiency for autistics is that we tend to not get sarcasm. Now, that's certainly true for me sometimes, but more so, it's the other way around, where instead of always taking people literally, I tend to assume that people are being sarcastic or just joking around. Now, why do I do that? Well, if you can catch that people are being sarcastic, then you won't look like an idiot if you take them literally. And if you assume everyone's joking and keep everything happy and fun and light, then no one's going to be mad at you.
Right.
You know that sensation of your fingers not being able to hit the right keys while someone is watching you type? Well, auditory integration deficiency feels like that, but with your whole body. Someone could be telling me something very simple, like press the red button, and they can try to rephrase it and repeat it all they want, but I'll still just be like, I'm able to recognize that it is a simple direction, but I will have this out-of-body experience where I'm watching myself screw up and I also think I'm an idiot. But hey, what can you do? Good question. Remote microphone hearing aid, or FM system. This method helps with auditory hypersensitivity by boosting the sound of the signal, which is the desired person's speech. The general use cases for this is like a classroom setting, where a teacher is wearing a microphone and that audio is being sent to the student wearing the hearing aid. There are also things called low-gain hearing aids. No, I said low-gain, not Rogaine. Side note, wouldn't it be really cool if there's like an anti-Rogaine? Like instead of growing your hair, it actually stops your hair from growing. That way when you get like a perfect haircut, you just take it and then it never grows and you just have that perfect haircut forever. We could call it no gain. Okay, back to APD. A low-gain hearing aid is a hearing aid that has been adjusted to boost the sounds of speech and reduce background noise, as opposed to just making everything louder. And in the last few years, there has been a rise in earplugs geared for everyday use. Some reduce noise across all frequencies, and others target background noise while maintaining clarity of nearby conversation. And based on the marketing of brands like Loop and Flare for these earplugs, they're really aimed at neurodivergence, though it's never explicitly stated. But the reviews pretty much confirm this. Now, maybe those devices don't work for you, or you just don't like the thought of sticking technology into your ear holes. Whatever the case, I'd now like to share some of the things that work for me personally. The first tip that helps with all of these APD issues, and to be honest, almost all ND traits that stem from overstimulation, is to simply get some rest. Oh, screw you, NDMB, because that's just so easy. Now hang on. I'm not just talking about your 8 hours of sleep at night, though you should try to fix that if that's an issue. There are other forms of rest. If I'm going to dinner or a movie or just hanging out with friends, something I know that's going to be overstimulating, what I like to do beforehand is just lay down for 20 minutes. Perhaps that's on your couch, or perhaps you just arrive a little bit early, park, and close your eyes in the car. And here's the cool thing. You don't even have to fall asleep to get any benefit. Just closing your eyes and resting still gets you about 80% of the effects of actually falling asleep. Auditory integration. The left and right brain coordinating effectively to carry out a task like hearing instructions verbally and carrying them out physically. One of the subtests I performed during my autism assessment was to arrange blocks into a target formation. And in order to carry out that physical task, which was explained verbally, my test administrator noted that I, quote, adapted the strategy of whispering to help him process mental perceptual images. Because my left brain and right brain couldn't quite effectively communicate on the back end, I was speaking my thoughts and commentary and strategies out loud to try to help the other side of my brain that was trying to carry out the task physically. I was talking to myself, and I think it's a helpful strategy because it's not about hearing someone else say the instructions again or different or louder. It's about you aligning yourself and saying and doing the things that you are trying to do. Dichotic listening. Simple trick. Cup your hand around your ear and kind of just lean in. It helps block out the unwanted noise and it boosts the signal. The other thing that it does is that it just cues to the person speaking that you're having trouble hearing them. So they'll either speak more loudly or they'll slow down or maybe even both. So now, rather than you having to better process the signal itself is just getting boosted. Auditory closure. Filling in gaps or distortions in the signal. In the past, when I couldn't understand someone, I would very politely ask that they repeat themselves, but it wouldn't always go so well.
Can you help me for a second?
What? People would either get annoyed because they thought I wasn't listening, or they would try to clarify themselves by restating what they said in a different way, which actually made things a lot more difficult. Here's what I mean. And then I said, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh crap, I got that first part, but I don't really know what was going on that second part. Let's ask him to repeat it. I said, shmanama shmoosh.
And he changed what he said.
So now, I just try to repeat back what I think I heard and then let that person correct me. Sometimes I sound really stupid and look like an idiot, but at least the other person doesn't think that I just, quote, wasn't listening. Doing this research and learning about the specific reasons for the different types of problems has helped me because 1, I've learned ways to mitigate or avoid certain miscommunications altogether, and more importantly, 2, for the moments I can't, just knowing what's causing it helps me understand my own inner angst and I'm feeling. And because I know what's happening and why, those feelings are no longer amplified by that feeling of helplessness and confusion. So if you're experiencing APD and an FM system or hearing aid or any of my suggestions just don't work for you, hopefully at least you now understand yourself a little bit better and that's helpful enough. Did a butterfly just land on that zucchini?